They built 102 houses on my land, not by mistake, but because they thought I'd never fight back. My name's Ethan Cole, 46 years old, civil engineer, divorced, and about as ordinary as a pair of muddy work boots. Except for one thing. My grandfather left me 52 acres of Arizona desert foothills, paid off, fenced, and deeded clean since 1974. He called it Cole Ridge, said it was our family's anchor. I just didn't know how true that would become. I hadn't been there in almost 4 years. Between my divorce, 2 teenagers in college, and 60-hour work weeks, that land became more memory than reality. But I paid property taxes every April, $5, $800 a year, never missed a deadline. I had every digital receipt, every email confirmation. Then last summer, I finally made time to visit, planned to scatter Grandpa's ashes by the old mesquite grove he loved. I turned off State Route 89, followed the dirt road he'd carved himself with a borrowed bulldozer back in the 70s, and then I froze. Where the mesquites used to stand was a paved boulevard lined with identical beige houses, gated entrances, curbs, streetlights, freshly poured sidewalks. A shiny metal sign read, Sunstone Estates, a luxury HOA community by Norcrest Development. For a minute, I thought I was lost. Then I pulled up my GPS. Same coordinates. My land. My forest. Gone. I stopped at the gatehouse, still half convinced I was hallucinating. A security guard in a pressed uniform stepped out, chewing gum like he owned the place. "Can I help you?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, my voice shaking. "You can start by explaining why you're standing on my property." He smirked. "Sir, this is a private community." "I own this land," I said, holding up my phone with the scanned deed. "My grandfather bought it in 1974. The guard laughed. "Sure, buddy, and I'm Elvis Presley." He waved toward the exit. "Turn around before I call the sheriff." Before I could reply, a silver Lexus rolled up. Out stepped a woman in heels that looked like they cost more than my truck payment. She was mid-50s, tan like she'd been airbrushed, and wore a white blazer too clean for Arizona dust. "Is there a problem, Brent?" she asked the guard without looking at me. "Claims he owns the property," the guard said. She finally turned. Her eyes moved over me. Faded jeans, boots, flannel, the kind of look people give when they've already decided what you're worth. "How charming," she said. "Are you a contractor?" "No," I said evenly. "I'm the owner, Ethan Cole. My grandfather's name was Harold Cole." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. We ran title searches. That land was abandoned, Mr. Cole. Norcrest legally acquired it under Arizona's adverse possession statute. Maybe you should talk to your lawyer about what that means." "It means nothing if taxes were paid," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Her tone sharpened. "Cute. You watch YouTube law videos?" She pulled a business card from her purse and held it like she didn't want it touching her fingers. "Call our attorney. He'll explain the situation. Oh, and do yourself a favor, don't trespass again." She snapped a photo of my license plate before leaving. That's when I noticed the engraved initials on her card, Victoria Norcrest, HOA president. I drove home sick to my stomach. Every memory of my grandfather came rushing back. His old pipe tobacco smell, the way he'd tap his ledger book every time he finished paying taxes. "Never trust men who wear shiny shoes," he'd say. "They steal with paper, not pistols." That night I pulled out everything. The deed from 1974, tax receipts, maps, even the letter Grandpa left me. "Don't let them take what's yours, Ethan. They'll try with smiles before they use lawyers." I called the number on Victoria's card. Her attorney's receptionist answered in a tone too polite to be sincere. "Oh, Mr. Cole," she said sweetly. "Mr. Langford expected your call. He's willing to offer a settlement, $15,000, if you sign a quitclaim deed by Friday." $15,000. For 52 acres worth nearly $5 million, I laughed. "Tell him to keep his check. I'll see him in court." But the truth was, I had no idea how to fight. My last lawyer handled my divorce for $1.800 and a box of tissues. I needed someone dangerous, the kind who made judges check their calendars twice. My buddy Chris, a surveyor up in Flagstaff, gave me a name, Linda Park. He said she once made a mining company pay damages for tunneling under a rancher's land without permission, and she did it so thoroughly they offered her a job afterward. Her consultation fee was $500. I drove 3 hours to her office the next morning. Linda was in her early 60s, silver hair in a tight bun, eyes sharp as cold glass. Her office smelled like lemon polish and old leather, expensive, disciplined. She listened to my story without interrupting, writing notes in a perfect slanted script. When I finished, she looked up. "Show me your tax receipts." I handed her the folder. She flipped through them slowly, the faint scratch of paper the only sound in the room. Finally, she looked at me and smiled, a small, fierce smile. "They don't have a leg to stand on," she said. "If you've paid taxes, adverse possession fails immediately. But we're not going to stop construction." "What?" I asked. "They're stealing my land?" "Exactly," she said. "So let them finish. Every nail, every sale, every driveway they pour makes your case worth more. If we stop them now, you'll be tied up for years fighting bankrupt shell companies. But if you wait, if they finish, they'll owe you every square foot they built on. You'll own 102 completed homes. That's a lawsuit they can't walk away from." It was brutal, cold, smart. "How much?" I asked. $50,000 in fees, maybe. But when we win, the court awards damages and attorney costs. You'll get everything back, plus millions." I didn't have $50,000, I barely had $5, but I heard my grandfather's voice in my head. "Don't let them take what's yours." I looked at her and said, "I'll figure it out." "Good," she said. "And Ethan, from now on don't talk to Victoria, don't post online, and don't warn them. In property law, silence is ammunition." I left her office with my stomach in knots and hope clawing its way up my throat. By September, I was driving past Sunstone Estates twice a week. I parked on the public road, recording with my phone. The air smelled of asphalt, sawdust, and wet concrete. Workers hammered, painted, and planted trees under the blazing sun. I took photos, timestamps, GPS coordinates, everything. And one afternoon, I saw her again. Victoria Norcrest. She was standing near a brand new fountain, phone to her ear, pointing straight at my truck. 15 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser rolled up behind me. The deputy was young, polite but tense. "Sir, Mrs. Norcrest says you've been harassing the community." "I'm documenting construction on property I own," I said, handing him my paperwork. "Check Pima County records. Parcel 4217-33. Owner, Ethan Cole." He glanced over it, uncomfortable. "Look, sir, if there's a dispute, that's civil court territory. But if she calls again saying you're threatening residents, I'll have to respond." Translation: she funds his department's re-election barbecue. I nodded. "Understood." He left. I kept filming. By October, the subdivision looked ready for postcards. Manicured lawns, identical beige homes gleaming under the desert sun. But every house stood on my land, every one of them. And Victoria Norcrest had no idea the ground beneath her empire was about to crack wide open. 2 months after hiring Linda Park, I was neck-deep in evidence. Every morning before work, I documented construction progress at Sunstone Estates. Every evening, I filed my photos, receipts, and screenshots in digital folders labeled by date. I even bought a drone to record aerial footage of the land. By November, the first families started moving in. Kids on scooters, pizza delivery cars, porch lights glowing at dusk. It looked like a movie set. Perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, laughter echoing through the neighborhood. And yet every sound grated against my nerves. I wasn't watching a dream come true. I was watching a crime scene expand. That week, Victoria made her first real move. A certified letter arrived with Norcrest Development stamped across the top, I picked it up from the post office, where the clerk, an older man named Hal, who'd known my grandfather, gave me a worried look. "She's the one building those new houses up the ridge, right?" he asked. "Yeah." He handed me the envelope. "Well, good luck. My brother tried buying one. Said she wanted $500,000 for one. 900 square feet. I opened it right there in my truck. The letter accused me of trespassing and harassment, warning that further, quote, unlawful surveillance would result in a restraining order. There was even a photo attached. My truck parked on the public road, license plate circled in red. I drove straight to Linda's office. She read it once, then laughed so hard her glasses fogged up. "This," she said, holding the page, "is beautiful." Beautiful? She's threatening me. Exactly. She's documenting her own fraud. Every letter, every photo, every accusation, proof that she knew there was a dispute and built anyway. She leaned forward, eyes glinting. "Ethan, this woman just handed us gold." Her confidence steadied me, but the next few weeks tested that strength. Late November, I got a call from County Code Enforcement. "Mr. Cole," said a man named Richard Mayfield, his voice heavy with boredom, "we received an anonymous report you're operating an illegal junk site on parcel 4217-33. "What? That's impossible. I don't live there." "Well, complaint says there's construction debris and old vehicles dumped on site. I'm required to inspect." I met him that afternoon. The desert air was sharp, smelling of dust and sun-baked concrete. We walked the edge of the development together. He checked behind houses, took photos, shook his head. "There's nothing here," he said finally. "Who filed it?" Quote. He glanced at his clipboard. "Anonymous citizen," but it came through Mrs. Norcrest's office fax line. He looked around the rows of homes. "Off the record, I've seen this before. She files bogus complaints to pressure landowners. You're not her first." He handed me his card. "If you need a witness statement, call me." I slipped the card into my pocket. One more piece of ammo. December rolled in. Half the homes were occupied. Christmas lights twinkled on porches that stood on my land. It should have made me furious, but mostly I felt sorry for the families who had no idea they were pawns in her scheme. Then, on December 10th, I got the hit I didn't see coming. My daughter, Olivia, texted at 10:37 p.m. "Dad, someone posted your photo on Facebook. Says you've been stalking families. What's going on?" My stomach turned cold. I opened Facebook, first time in months, and found the post immediately. It was from a Sunstone Estates HOA community group. Alert: local man Ethan Cole has been seen photographing children and trespassing in our neighborhood. He claims to own Sunstone Estates despite clear legal records proving otherwise. Please report any sightings to Pima County Sheriff. Protect your families. The post had over 400 shares and comments that made me sick. Creep. Hope they lock him up. Why is this man allowed near kids? Someone even posted a photo of my truck. Again, my plate circled in red. I called Linda in a panic. "She's calling me a pedophile online," I said. "My daughter's crying." "My son won't answer his phone." "Don't respond," Linda said sharply. "Not one word. We'll add defamation and harassment to the lawsuit." "She's ruining my life." "I know," she said softly, "and that's good. Desperation makes people sloppy. Screenshot everything, every share, every comment. It's all evidence." By morning, the post had over 900 shares. Someone even made a hashtag. Hashtag Stop Ethan Cole. 2 days later, my boss called me into his office. "Ethan," he said carefully, "one of our clients Googled your name. They found that Facebook mess. I know it's probably false, but we can't have bad optics. I have to put you on paid leave until this blows over." That one hurt more than anything Victoria had done. I'd spent 16 years at that company. Now, because of her lies, my coworkers avoided me like I was contagious. When I got home that night, someone had spray-painted pervert across my garage door. I called the sheriff again. The officer this time was older, slower. He took photos like he was doing a favor. "Any idea who did it?" Quote. "Check that Facebook post," I said. "Probably one of her followers." "We'll increase patrols," he mumbled. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my head in my hands. My phone buzzed. Olivia again. Dad, please tell me it's not true. I drove to her apartment. She wouldn't open the door at first. When she finally did, she looked like she'd been crying all day. I sat her down and told her everything. The land, the lawsuit, the threats, the lies. I showed her the deed, the tax receipts, Linda's filings. Her face changed from doubt to fury. She can't get away with this, she said. She won't, I promised. That night, as I drove home, I saw a black SUV parked half a block from my house. Engine running, no plates visible. It sped off when I turned onto my street. The next morning, Linda called. Ethan, we're filing for an emergency restraining order against Victoria and her husband. Defamation, harassment, and interference with business. But you need to understand, this gets worse before it gets better. I was silent. If you want to walk away, she continued, I can negotiate a settlement. $500,000. Maybe more. You move on. Start fresh. I thought about Grandpa's note. Don't let them take what's yours. No, I said, we finish this. Linda exhaled. Then get ready. She's about to hit back harder. She was right. The next day, an unmarked envelope showed up in my mailbox. Inside was a single printed photo. My truck in front of Sunstone Estates. Across the bottom, someone had written, "Drop the case or we drop you." I stared at the words until my vision blurred. Then I poured a cup of coffee, sat down, and started labeling files for court. Because if Victoria Norcrest wanted war, she was about to learn what happens when the wrong man refuses to quit. February 8th. The courthouse smelled like bleach and tension. I wore my only suit, the one from my sister's wedding 15 years ago that didn't quite fit across the shoulders anymore. My daughter Olivia walked beside me, her hand gripping my arm tighter than she realized. "We're going to win, right?" she whispered. "We'd better," I said. "I can't afford to lose." Inside courtroom 2B, every seat was full. 40 or 50 residents from Sunstone Estates sat in the gallery. Parents, retirees, young couples, each one clutching the same fear. Across the aisle sat Victoria Norcrest, perfectly composed in a cream suit, her husband Greg, and 3 lawyers who looked like they charged by the minute. My attorney, Linda Park, didn't bother sitting. She stood at the front of our table, flipping through color-coded files like a general reviewing maps before battle. When the judge entered, Judge Marisol Vega, sharp eyes, zero patience. The air went still. "This court is now in session," she said. Linda began calmly, voice steady as steel. "Your Honor, this case isn't about confusion or error, it's about fraud. My client, Ethan Cole, inherited 52 acres from his grandfather, Harold Cole, who paid cash in 1974. The defendants, Norcrest Development, built 102 homes on his land, knowing they didn't own it. We have proof." She held up a printed email, one I'd never seen until last week. It was from Greg Norcrest to Victoria, dated months before construction started. Title lawyer confirmed taxes are current under Harold Cole's estate. Adverse possession likely won't stand. But if we move fast, file early, start selling before anyone notices, we can force a cheap settlement. Same as Canyon View deal. You could have heard a pin drop. Greg's attorney objected, but Judge Vega overruled him before he finished speaking. "The email is admitted," she said. I watched Greg's shoulders slump. Linda turned to Victoria. "Mrs. Norcrest, care to explain how a property was abandoned when you knew taxes were being paid?" Victoria's jaw tightened. Her lawyer whispered something, and she said, "I invoke my Fifth Amendment right." The judge's eyebrow arched, duly noted. Then came witness after witness. The title company admitted taking an expedited fee of $40,000 from Greg for fast approvals. The county inspector, Richard Mayfield, testified about the false complaints filed from Norcrest's fax line. Even Deputy Williams, the young cop who once pulled me over, confirmed that the HOA had requested enhanced patrols to intimidate me. When it was my turn, my throat was dry. I told the story from the beginning, the drive up that dirt road, The shock of seeing my land erased, the fake legal letters, the Facebook smear campaign, the threats, the spray paint. I told them about my grandfather, about the note he'd left in the deed folder. Don't let them take what's yours. By the time I finished, you could see tears glinting in a few of the homeowners' eyes. Greg took the stand next, trying to sound calm. We believe the land was abandoned, he said. Linda smiled like a wolf. Believed? Exhibit 14, Mr. Norcrest, your own email where you admit knowing it wasn't. Care to correct your statement? He stammered. I was misinformed. By whom? Our title team. The same one you bribed? His lawyer objected. Overruled again. By the time court adjourned, Greg looked like a man who'd watched his world collapse in slow motion. The next morning, Judge Vega delivered her ruling. It was short, decisive, and devastating for the Norcrests. The defendants knowingly and willfully committed real estate fraud by constructing and selling homes on land they did not own. The court awards full title of all 52 acres and the 102 developed properties to the rightful owner, Mr. Ethan Cole. Damages in the amount of $4. $7 million are granted, plus legal fees and restitution. The matter is referred to federal authorities for further criminal review. I didn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. Then Olivia grabbed my hand, whispering, "You did it, Dad." Reporters swarmed outside the courthouse, camera flashes, microphones, chaos. I wasn't used to any of it. When a journalist asked how I felt, all I could say was, my grandfather told me never to let bullies win. I guess he was right. Within a week, the fallout began. Norcrest Development folded. The title company lost its license. Greg and Victoria were charged with felony fraud. Their bank accounts frozen, their mansions seized, everything they'd built gone. But I had a new problem. What to do with those 102 families who'd bought homes in good faith? I could legally take everything. Sell it, rent it, or bulldoze it. But when I drove through Sunstone Estates a week later and saw the kids playing, the mailboxes decorated for Valentine's Day, I knew I couldn't. So I called a meeting in the half-built clubhouse. Every homeowner came. The air buzzed with fear. I know this is terrifying, I said, standing where Victoria once bragged about selling luxury dreams. You bought homes in good faith. You didn't steal from me. She did. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm creating the Cole Ridge Community Trust. Every family here will keep their home at the price you already paid. If your mortgage isn't finished, you'll pay the remainder to the trust. No interest, no banks. Those funds will cover taxes and upkeep. The room went silent, then someone started crying. Then applause broke like thunder. People hugged me, shook my hand, thanked me. One older man, Mr. Ortiz, said, "You just saved 100 families, son. Your grandfather would be proud." Quote, maybe that was the first time I really believed it. A year later, the Harold Cole Scholarship Fund was born, $10,000 each year for Arizona students studying engineering or environmental science. The first recipient sent me a handwritten note, "Your grandfather's land is helping me build bridges, literally." I kept 5 acres for myself, built a small cabin under the last surviving mesquite trees. The mornings smell like dust, coffee, and redemption. Sometimes Olivia visits with her kids. They call it Grandpa's land, though Grandpa never met them. Last month, a news reporter did a follow-up story. From land theft to legacy, how one man turned HOA fraud into hope. It went viral. But I didn't care about the views. What mattered were the families still living on my land, now legally theirs, and the scholarship check I mailed last week with Grandpa's name on it. Sometimes at sunset, I sit on the porch, watch the desert glow gold, and whisper the same words I read on that note 4 years ago. Don't let them take what's yours. And I smile. Because I didn't.